Hi everyone, it's Nono here, and one more week I want to welcome you to the Nono.MA live series. This is a live stream that I do every Thursday, or at least I try to do every Wednesday. So every Thursday I've been missing a few weeks and I will be out the entire August. I don't think I'll be doing any lives there. For those of you who haven't watched it before, I'm Nono Martinez Alonso, and this is Nono.MA Live. This is a series of live recordings that cover topics from creative coding to machine intelligence to art and design, web development, workflow automation, and many other things. And we also touch on topics that have to do with sketching, writing, and also podcasting. Specifically, podcasting, we cover things that have to do with the Getting Simple podcast. That is a podcast that I host on life optimization, finding meaning and more creativity in our day-to-day, defining routines and analyzing concepts, trying to bring them down to earth and understand them. As always, I'll like to say hi and ask you to leave a comment on the chat if you can see me and if you can hear me okay. With all of that, I'm gonna get started. And yeah, welcome. Feel free to introduce yourself on the chat if you feel comfortable doing so. Let us know where you're connecting from, what's your name, what interests you have, and how you found us. You can also go to this link here, join the Discord community at Nono.MA/Discord. That will redirect you to a Discord invite, which is a platform in which many people like you are already connected. And I think there are 100 or over 100 people already. There is some activity starting there, and it only keeps growing. All right, so with all that, I'm gonna get going. The little reminder I'll do: you can support this video by liking it and sharing it with other people if you like it. And you can also subscribe to the channel and click on that bell to get notified when I go live next or when I upload new videos. Many times we cut videos from the live streams, we edit them, and then we upload them in a format that is a bit more digestible, something that you can watch a bit faster. And yeah, and there are live streams every Thursday around this time. So from 12 to 2 p.m. EST is when we get started. Again, that's the invite of the Discord community. There is a QR code up there as well, so you can choose and join us. We also put some supporting links for these videos, and you can get notified of new publications. All right, so not last week, but 2 weeks ago, 2 Thursdays ago, I showed many things that had to do with Laravel. This is a web framework to build, develop websites with PHP. We saw how to create an app from scratch, how to create your own commands, how to write a command to parse Google Forms and CSV format, and also how to save the information to a database. And we started looking at Vue dynamic components, but we didn't really get too far. We got a bit complex and we didn't really get to Laravel Folio. You can go to that video. We're uploading those as tutorials, and you can see them uploaded probably over the month of August. Another announcement: I spent an awesome week with Jose Luis García del Castillo free diving, so breath hold diving in Tenerife. This is the Canary Islands. This is us. I tweaked the picture a bit, but we took that photo by putting the camera at the bottom of the sea, like maybe 3 or 4 meters deep, and then we dove and we basically were swimming below water. It's a 25-minute episode. There is a lot of stuff that we learned, techniques, equipment, best practices, how to equalize the differences between scuba when you're diving with your oxygen bottle and free diving, how recommendation systems like YouTube and Instagram took us there, and many other things. I really enjoyed the mindfulness of free diving and being at the water, and I would recommend everyone to try it, following the safety measures and actually learning the theory before going to the water. So that's available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. As always, I love to hear from you, so you can submit your questions to topics related to the podcast, or maybe comments on things you like from other podcast episodes, or things that you would like to see in the podcast. You can go to gettingsimple.com/ask, so this link here, and there is a recorder that looks like this one, in which you can actually just hit record from your phone or your computer, and you can submit an audio note that we can play on a podcast episode, and then I'll happily reply to your question on the show. You can also submit a written question, but that's a bit more, I think, a bit boring, because it's great to be able to play your voice on the podcast and answer the question live. All right. Little announcement. So I've been giving a talk many, like a few times in different places, and I just want to announce I have the intention to create a course, sort of like an informal lecture with these live streams, like a hands-on, part theory, part hands-on tutorial, that is going to be probably called Intro to Machine Intelligence for Designers, for lack of a better name. I intend to make tutorials that are a bit more approachable for a wider audience. This means people that are not so technical as I am. I've been programming for many years, I think 15 years or more. If you're new and you have only been playing around with code for a few years, I understand it's super hard. It looks really easy when you see me or other people do certain things. There's a lot of practice behind it, but I believe that we can generate content that is more achievable for beginners and for people who are just trying to get started, or even for people who in some way don't want to get too deep into the math or into the code. But I will try to do it in a way that maybe we can introduce libraries like scikit-learn and TensorFlow and PyTorch, but also tools like Lobe and Runway, types of models, maybe applications on the wider field of design and art. That's my intention. It's there's a lot of things to do there and to learn and to play with, and I'll be really happy to get started. I really would appreciate if you leave comments on this video or on the chat of the things that you would like to see in that course, things that you don't know, things that are challenges that you've had before, or things that you're looking forward to learning. Just please go and leave a comment, because I really want to do this lecture in a way that is going to help you out start learning and follow a path similar to the one I'm following, but maybe where I was 2, 3, or 4 years ago, when I didn't really know anything about machine learning. All right. Really, I would really appreciate your comments. All right. So moving on. So I think this just made it here, but it shouldn't be here. I just copied a group of slides. I just wanted to see, okay, so if we go back, this is me on social media. This wasn't meant to be here. But what I wanted to show is that today, what are we going to see? I prepared, as I mentioned before in the comments of the video, dynamic Vue components. This is something we're going to see. We're going to see first how to create a Flexbox or a Flex grid on HTML5. That's fairly easy if you know some CSS. There's a few tricks there. And scikit-tisny. I don't know if we're going to get there. I don't know if we're going to have the time to get to the scikit-tisny. Hello, Bea. I see that you're online. Nice to see familiar faces. And yeah, let's get started. So I have a few intro slides here. I've done a bit of homework to prepare for these things. I'll just introduce what these things are. HTML Flex Grid is just how to create a grid of items where you can put content in HTML5 on your website. The other one is about creating sortable lists or grids, dynamic Vue components, which are components that can display your content on the web with like flexible layouts and even like sorting dynamically the content. And the last part, which I never get time to, and I have probably to prioritize in another live stream, is the dimensionality reduction with scikit-learn Tisny. So I have the machine learning book here, and we do have pending exercise that I haven't got to yet, but we have to do it. I don't remember where that was. Well, we can look at it later. Okay, so I'm gonna get started right on recording. So this is to record a few tutorials, and we're gonna make a recap on like some of the things that we saw on last live stream, that is how to create a Laravel app from scratch. And I'm not going to go into detail on that because we have other videos, and also how to serve your apps with Valet. So you can go to the channel, either go to live stream 36 if you're watching this close to the release of this live stream, or maybe look for like a web development or a Laravel playlist where I might have placed those videos. All right. So I'm going to start recording. This is going to be a cover slide, and I'm going to start coding and doing this exercise. Hi everyone, it's Nono here, and this is a quick tutorial, a hands-on coding tutorial on how to create a flex grid with HTML5 to display your content on the web. Before, you had to do many hacks, but the Flexbox CSS component or properties allow you to specify a display flex property on your items, and this makes it super easy to display content in nice ways, even making it responsive fairly easily. So let's dive into the side of coding and see how this is done. All right. All right, so I have a terminal window here. The first thing is I'm gonna go to my desktop, and I do have the Laravel command line interface here installed. I installed it with Composer, and you can probably Google or look for previous videos on how to get this going. The first thing that we're gonna do is a simple command that this CLI tool lets you do. We're gonna run Laravel new app, and what this does is going to create an application on my computer on the desktop with the name app. So that's going to be the name of the folder. And if I hit enter, you can see that the CLI tool starts going. It clones the latest version of Laravel, and then it runs the command to install with Composer all of the dependencies, all of the vendor packages that this application requires to be able to be executed on my machine. It's finished. It also created a key, like a security key for my application, and install 61, well, I don't know how many packages, but there are many packages in here. So what we can do is I can go now and enter the directory of my application. I can click ls. I can see that if I do list all the vendor packages, there's a bunch of stuff in there, right? So it did install many packages. And right away, you know, what we could do is that we could run valet link app. And what this is going to do is that it's going to serve our application. So this is Valet, which is a CLI tool from Laravel that is called Laravel Valet. And you can Google that and see how to install it, or go to my Laravel playlist and see those previous videos. We can directly open app.test, and this is going to open a oh, okay, so wait 1 second. So this has to be removed. So let me open a window here. So this opens in here. Okay, so I can now go and open http app.test, which is what we're serving. And this Laravel application that I just created is going to get running. So this is running on my machine, and I can show you that if I just open the application with Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to just open this here, and we're going to browse the files. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to routes to see that, you know, we have a simple route here that is showing the welcome view. We could override that to hello from Nono.MA live, right? So we can now go back, so we can comment this one out and refresh, and then that's what we're seeing, right? So this is a live application that we have here, and we're serving a view. So let's see that we are going to still leave this, but we can rename this view as list, because we're going to create a list of contents, or maybe even like a grid view. And I'm gonna go to the resources of this project. I can find the view here, and I'm going to rename it to know that this is, this is a view that we are going to customize. And we can actually use the boilerplate code here. You can see that there is a lot of code in here that we don't need, and we're just going to leave the body of this application empty. I'm going to also remove the styles that were here in the body, and I'm going to remove some of other stuff that we don't need. We're going to change the name of the site, Nono.MA live, and we're going to load this, right? So now we just get the title. It's an empty website. And actually, I'm going to try to run this with a handy command that comes with Laravel, that is the npm run hot. This hopefully, okay, so we don't really have this. Let me see if we can do npm install to install that, the dependencies of this application, and we can remove this part. All right, so now once these packages are installed, we install 769 packages, we can run npm run hot, and this is going to serve our application locally in a way that it's going to be rebuilding every time I make a change and reloading without me having to refresh. And I don't know if this is going to happen automatically, but let's try it, because I think I do need to install some tools that we don't have right now. Okay, I'm gonna do something that will be out of the tutorial, so we'll remove this part and I'll get back to the tutorial in a second. So to show that more easily, I'm going to hide the screen. So this is all black. All right, so the thing that we need to do on our webpack.mix.js file, the only thing we need to do is that we need to put here mix browser sync, and then the domain name to which we want to reroute this application that is going to be served. So we run again npm run hot, and you can actually go to package.json and see those commands, right? What they are actually doing. This is running mix watch hot and using the webpack mix configuration. It says here, if this is the first time you run it, you need additional dependencies which are run. And now, we can probably skip that part. So npm run hot. All right, so we get this window now in here. This is the app.test, but this is the at local host. So this is routing our application at app.test. And you can see this if I now write something in here. So let's do my test code, right? So this is updating live, which is pretty cool, because now I don't have to hit refresh every time that we're doing changes to our code. I can hide the terminal, and now we have the really a really good starting point to get going. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set everything to have a nice font family, just system UI, which works on Mac, and you can see that there. And I'm going to put a font size of 3 rem. Let's see if that's not too big. That's really big, so maybe 1.5. All right, so we can add some padding to our body, so we get that separated, and we're gonna make now a block. So let's say Nono.MA live, and this is flex grids. All right, so we have that there, and now we're gonna make a block here. So I'm going to make this a bit bigger. So I'm going to make a div that is going to be called or have the class container, and we would make here container items, right? So we're going to make different container items. So we do that. We don't have any CSS, but we're going to add that CSS here. So we say container is going to have, let's say, a border that is going to be maybe purple, and it's going to be of 1 pixel and solid, not split, but solid, right? And if we see now that is going to be stretching, but maybe we want a max width, which is maybe 45 rem, and that makes it go up to a maximum height, so width. And we can also do now margin 0 auto, so the sides are going to be automatically set, so we actually get like a center div, right? And we can actually apply this same thing to maybe if we make a header component just to put our title. So we can do here div.header, and I press tab, and then we put that there, right? So we get that in there. And what we're going to do now, just put some margin to the bottom of this component, and then we have our website a bit better formatted, right? So if we go back here, right, we leave the site here, we have one item, and if we do a style for that item, so we do container item, and we also put a border, so we do maybe 1 pixel solid and choose the color salmon, then you see that that's fitting the entire thing as well. So the first thing we can do, and this is the important part, I'm gonna set here the display of the container to flex. And now you see that this item is not taking the full width, but just a tiny bit, and that we can add more items there, right? We have now 3 items. There's one thing that we can do. So for example, we can say that let's say the flex basis of each component might be like 35%, right? Or maybe it's like 38%, right? If the width of the component, right, it's 100 in total, 38 multiplied by 3 is 114. So these are actually being squashed to 33.33333. You can see that if I do maybe 20%, those get squeezed there. And if we were to do, let's say, 45%, they wouldn't fit. We could still get 3/3, right? But we can do here, use this property that is flex wrap, and we say wrap, and then these components actually get that 45% perfectly, right? We can see that in here. And what we're gonna do is that we're actually gonna put these ones to 28%, right? And if you multiply 28 by 3, we get 84. That makes that we have a 16% that is missing, and would like to add a margin between the boxes, but not at the end, right? So one thing that you could actually do is you say justify items, I think maybe align items. I never exactly know which one it is, but you do space between, and I think it might be justify items. So justify items. Space between, align content. Okay, one thing that I like to do here that is handy is like you get the inspection box. You maybe put it here. You can make this a bit bigger so you can read. And once I have this, right, I can get the flex. I can click here, right? You see the Flexbox highlighted. I can push this up, and then I can modify this live. So I can say justify items, for example, right? You see that those are moving. So justify content space in between, which is what I thought I had put before. You can see that here I get a highlight of the I get a highlight of these box margins that are not being filled. The problem with this is that if if we said justify content, so justify, well, we just put this justify here, right? We update, we have this, but if we put more items, look what happens. So if you just put 2 items, then these 2 go to the sides, but we would like to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5 here in the middle. So for that, we need to do something else. We just need to use the wrap. So we get back to where we were, we get these items, but now we need to put that 24 by 3, so we're missing 28 pixels. I put 28, so let's put 28 here. 16, right? So that means that we need to put a margin on the right that needs to be 16 between 2, that is going to be 8% on the right, right? The problem is that this one is also trying to put margin on the right, and the only thing we can do is that we can say container item, right? What I'm trying to do, and I'll show you what happens with that, is if I say, for example, container item is not the nth of type, so I say I don't want it, I don't want this to affect to the third of its type, I'm going to say that the background color is going to be RGBA, like a transparent color that we can see, but it's not too much, right? So this is feeling 1, 2, not the third, 1, 2, and not the third, right? So if I put more of these items here, you see that it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The third one is always not affected. That's the third end of the components, right? So what we can do here is that we can say, okay, for that component that is white, I can set that my margin right is 0. So I reset it. And now we get this working here. But it's exactly the opposite, right? So what we want to do is that one there, the one that is not of that type, is the one that has to have that 8%, and the one by default doesn't have it, right? So let's do the calculus once again. So it's this multiplied by 3, so we have 16, and then we get 2, so that's 8. And this is working. The problem is that because we add border to this item, it actually adds width to the element. So the only thing we need to do, I believe, is just remove that from here, and it doesn't work, and remove that from here. Okay, yeah. So what we've done is that we've removed the border from this item, and what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add some padding to the item. So maybe 1.5 rem. Let's see if that's not too much. Yeah, that seems like it's a bit too much. Okay, well, 1 second. Okay, so let's put that by default, the background of this is of a slight different color. So you see that differentiation, right? So this is green. And we're going to put like a margin to the bottom. There's going to be 1 rem. Yeah, those have it. And then maybe like minimum height is going to be 5 rem, or maybe that's too much. Yeah, 4 rem. Border. Okay, let's put this here, and we'll do border radius to 3 pixels. All right, so this is our container. We could actually add something inside, so we could have like maybe a container item content or something, and then we can add some padding, some internal padding to separate the content. And we're gonna do wrap. So we'll wrap, let's say we change everything here, and we say, okay, this is gonna be a container item content, and then we put item. Right, so now we have the control of where we want this to be in respect to the actual item, right? We want some margin there to make our content look nicer. So we're gonna put this here. We'll do here a so we want to make the font here slightly smaller. Font size maybe 1.5 rem. Oh, or maybe. All right, So that seems good, right? So we're gonna make this like that, and we're gonna make now maybe a container title and container. So this would be item title and item content. So for the content, I'm gonna say that maybe the color is gonna be black, but with like a bit of less opacity, and this is gonna be maybe font weight 600, right? So we just now make all our items the same, and we just make the items have like this container item title, and then we make the body here. This is text or body? Item content, maybe item body. Okay, so we got that, right? Like this now looks slightly better than before. And maybe we can remove that background or put a background that makes a bit more sense. That's something that looks a bit nicer. So maybe what we can do is that for this thing here, we're gonna make the color of the font white, which we won't see a lot. Okay, so we've actually made this a different color. Okay, well, let's leave it like that. Let's just maybe change. We don't really need these to be different. All right, and we can have a class that tells our list to either be of this proportion or have a different proportion. So we could say, for example, we have these items, but if we say this is kind of like a grid right now, right? So if we say container, when the container has the property list, the container item is going to have a flex basis of 100 and a margin right of 0, and even this one is going to have it, right? Not blah blah blah. Maybe we can just do container list. So container when not list. All right, awesome. So if I now were to add to this container, I were to add the class list, right? If I save, you see now we get this list of items here, and we could adjust other parameters. So we could say also maybe that the min height doesn't really need to be so tall. So you can do maybe here like 2 rem or something, right? So we don't really have a minimum height. Okay, so now we have the possibility of saying this is like a grid, and this is a list. And maybe we can even restrict, so our max width is not so wide, so we just make it like this, but we can make it for both of them. And a nice tip here is that we can make how was the variable? I think just like this, right? If we do wrap width, and we say 30 rem, I believe this was the way. Wrap width. So we just have a variable there, and now if I change this number, everything that uses that variable changes, right? So now we have a variable there. We can make this, and now I can visualize that list grid arrangement again, right? Okay, so we have our flex grid, and this is what I was intending to show. A really nice thing that I showed before that you could use is we could use this nth type. So for example, I could say, okay, container item of the nth type of like 2n, so every even or odd. So we're gonna make that the maybe we do transform scale maybe 1.3 or something, right? So now or maybe make them smaller, so 0.5. So now I'm making each other component, I'm making it slightly smaller, right? But only the even ones, right? Every two, so every other one. I could say maybe that the opacity is like 0.8 to make it more apparent, right? Like maybe 0.5, right? And you can apply any property here. So every third, so only these ones, every fourth, and so on and so forth, right? And you can play with these arrangements. If you do, of course, every other, like it's just every other, and you could do this. And if you want to like shift it one, you can say +1, and then everything is shifting, right? If you do +2, everything shifts by 2. All right, so this is a little tip that I'm doing here, but you don't really need to do this. This is a flex grid. There are many other arrangements that you can use. So take a look at the properties, at the the display flex and the wraps and the justify context and align. If we hadn't done this thing with the flex basis so big, so if I do here maybe temporarily flex basis at 23 and I get back my border, so I say border 1 pixel solid salmon or something, now I have that border. You can see they're aligned to the left. One thing, if we go, this is more apparent I think, if we go to the list, everything doesn't need to be aligned to the same part, right? I can, for example, here say align items and say like flex end, I think it was, right? And again, if you don't know about these properties, you just go here, click on your flex container and try the options, right? So justify flex end, right? So you can see flex end or flex start, or you have a lot of other options, so stretch and many others. All right, so let's kind of go back to what we had before because it was fairly okay. And you can imagine that you can add a lot more and a lot more content, and this would be your flex grid. If you have any questions, leave them on the comments, send me a message or whatever. I hope you learned something today. This was HTML5 Flexbox, or like the way to create grids with native HTML5. Once again, this was Nono Martinez Alonso. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you got something out of this video. There are more videos on Laravel and web development on my channel. I would invite you to go there. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time. All right, hello Sajeh. You've got right on time, so I'm switching tutorials. As a good practice, something that I'm gonna do is upload this as a stage to the live repo on GitHub. So let me see if I can do that quickly. What time is it? All right, great. So cool, let me maybe remove I'll post this on Discord. And yeah, so what I was saying, let's go to the live repo. I'm going to clone that. I'm gonna add this to the repo. So I'll put something here. Announcements. All right, awesome. So we're gonna put maybe this here, and that's what I'm gonna upload. So I'm gonna clone via SSH, and let's do this. I'm gonna go to my desktop. I'm gonna clone this repo. I'm gonna go onto it. Oh, all right. So git clone. I'm gonna go into that. I'm gonna go into the app folder. And here, what I'm going to make sure is that I remove the node models and the vendor packages, because those are big and we don't want to commit those to the repo. The model, okay, that's already ignored by Git, but let me see. All right. So what we can do is I'm gonna open here and also open this other folder. So I have both of them here. And okay, let me just put this. Cool. So what we can do is, let's just copy this app and we're gonna put in the live 0037 for live 37. I'm gonna go here, put it here, and we'll put it here as Laravel app HTML5 flex grid, and this is step 001. Okay, let's now edit this repo. Whoa, okay, might be easier on the CLI. So we just do git add 0037 and git commit 37 add HTML5 Flexbox grid sample. All right, we push, and for those of you who are live, this is already live, so it's here. And if you go to the resources, views, grid view, you can see the code that we had here. And I'm going to continue building on top of this. All right, what next? So we're going to keep going with the tutorials, and one thing, so I don't have to do it on the during the tutorial recording, I'm going to go to the app and do composer install and npm install. Okay. Right. How's everyone doing? Sajeh, how are you doing? How's life? Okay. Okay, I'm going to take a really quick break and I'll be back. I'm just going to continue recording in a second. All right, I'm back. All right. Okay, so let me go to another slide. Maybe just put this one here. So yeah, Sajed is asking, I thought I came across an Instagram post about you giving a lecture at Cadria or one of those conferences. I tried looking for the post but can't find it. What was it about? I believe the one that you might be talking about is CAAD Futures. I don't know if that's open. If it's open, I will post a link. The talk is tomorrow night. And yeah, if that's open, I can forward the link and let you know. The conference that I'm talking about, so let me put that here so you guys can see, is CAAD Futures. This one. And yeah, I don't really know. Oh yeah, I'm here actually. I hadn't even seen this. So yeah, I'm here and cool, nice. All right, so yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how you can watch those. All right, familiar faces. Okay, I was showing this side. I don't know if I was in the middle. Okay, so let's record. Everything's going well. Thanks for asking. So, all right, so let's record this other tutorial and let's see how it goes. Hi everyone, it's okay, it goes. Hi everyone, it's Nono here, and this is a quick hands-on tutorial on how to create a sortable list and grid dynamic Vue components. This means that you have a list like this one, for example. You want to be able to sort the data according to parameters or like properties of your data, and you also want to be able to flip between different views. In this example, we're going to see how to flip between list and grid and how to sort maybe by age or by date or by name. Let's see. All right, let's dive in. I already have this application as a starting point. This is a Laravel app that simply has like a blade view. This is a PHP, well, it's actually an HTML view that has a CSS Flex grid. And this grid, you don't really need to know anything about Laravel to follow this tutorial, even though it's good if you do. But everything you need to know is that we have these classes here. And if I add the list class, this turns into a list. I'm going to remove this scaling thing that I have here on the code that is not really helping anyone understand this. So we have this list, and if I leave the list here and show you this way, if I now remove this list class from here, this turns into a 3 grid, right? Like a 3 elements by row list. All right, so we're gonna leave this here on the side so we see what's going on, and maybe we can get going. So again, we can add the property list here, and what we're gonna use is 2 different things. So we're gonna use Vue, which you can access at Vue.js.org. This is a progressive JavaScript framework. comparable to React if you know it, but a bit different. And we're also going to use Lodash for their sort by algorithm. So this is another JavaScript library that allows us to do something like this and sort by, I don't know if, yeah, like we're going to be able to use a function in this library. So the first thing that I will do, because as you can see in the website I was showing, this is all CSS and HTML. There is no JavaScript here. The first thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to go to look for Vue and Lodash, and we're going to try to get their CDN URL so we can load them in our website directly. So CDN Vue, yeah, CDN.js, right? So we go to CDN.js, we can get this library here, and we can put it on the header of our application. And we're going to look for Lodash here, and the first result, we can also do the same. We can click on here to copy the tag, and now we can paste it on our website. So these are our libraries. All right, so we have those now, and if I now reload my site and open the web inspector on the console, I can do this, right? I can put, well, let's reload. Exports is not defined. Let me check what's going on here. Oh, CJS. I don't know what that is. Browser. Okay, let's try this one. Seems to be slightly different. Okay, so let's try again. Okay, so let's scroll back then. So we actually need to remove that part from the video. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove these, and I'm gonna go, okay. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to Vue.js.org. We're gonna go to get started, and we're gonna grab this CDM version to put on our website, right? So I'm gonna paste this here, and I'm gonna go to CDN.js, look for Lodash there, and I'm gonna click here to copy the HTML tag, and I'm gonna put it here. All right, so now we should, if this works, we should be able to go to our site, reload, go to the console, and now we can print Vue, right, which is a function, so it works. And we have many of the things that we can do here, and Lodash as a function, and that works. So if we actually were to comment this out, this wouldn't get loaded, and we wouldn't be able to print either of them. All right, so now that we have this working, so we're gonna uncomment this and load Vue. The first thing we're gonna do is instead of manually generating so many of these container items, we're gonna try to use Vue to do that. We're gonna try to have Vue have some data in JavaScript as a JSON object, and we're gonna try to make it populate our list. So right now we're gonna fall back into our container as a list. So we have tabs in here, so right, so they will be like all vertically aligned, and we want to make this a Vue component. So the first thing you have to do to make a Vue component is after your HTML is defined and Lodash and Vue are loaded, we're gonna define our application. So this is gonna be like this. So we're gonna say let app, new Vue, and then we have our app, right? So this is our application. Nothing is gonna happen. So I'm actually going to put this, I don't know if you can see this well, but maybe what I can do is remove the flex grids from the top, because this is not flex grid anymore, and so this is actually a different tutorial, and we can put that there, and maybe we can put a bit less padding to the website, so maybe 1 rem. All right, so now that we have this, we still have just one component, right? And we have a Vue application. So with Vue, what we need to do is first have a way to reference our the container where our application is based in, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to leave our classes here, but we're going to add a new class that is going to be called container, so or like app, and we're going to tell Vue that this is going to be our selector to get that component, right? So when we do that, when we do this here, now we should have an app, right? Like an app variable that defines our application. Now our component is mounted as a Vue component, and this is showing. There is one thing that Vue lets you do, that is hiding your application while it's loading, because maybe sometimes it needs to do some processing. So we just add this tag here, v-cloak, and nothing really happens. But what we will do is, and let me see, so let's remove this from the recording. All right, so back to the recording. So what we can do here is that we can set that for this tag that we put there on the description, for every single child, we're gonna have the display to be none. So this is not gonna be shown, right? And so this actually, v-cloak, this should actually happen here. Okay, so when this, okay, so if we remove and hide this thing, this is hidden, right? We could say something more subtle like opacity equals 0.5, right? So you'll see what happens. This is actually, this has this v-cloak property until Vue mounts your application. So we could, for example, run this code on our console. So I could go to my console here and run this code. Vue is not defined. Let me see. 1 second. Okay. Right. So when I mount this, so if I click, boom, this actually has the v-cloak property removed from the HTML, and that shows, right? So one thing that we could do is that we could actually do like set a timeout and put an anonymous function here, and maybe after 1 minute we do this instantiation of our application, right? So we say that our app equals new Vue, right? So now we load, and it takes 1 second until our application is mounted. And this is good practice, just because this allows you to do something pretty cool, that is this that I'm going to show now. So for v-cloak, what we're going to do is that before that item, I'm going to add content, and it's going to say loading, and I'm going to put that the opacity of that component is going to be 0.6. And check this out, right? Now for that second that is loading, you can see this here, and we can actually hide the other part of the code, right? So now we have a loading mechanism for our grid, and this allows us to, when Vue actually takes time, maybe fetching information or doing something, or you have to do whatever before mounting, it's good to have this v-cloak property and some sort of loading sense to the user. What happens here is that we are locally doing this, and we are setting a manual timeout. If I comment that, you can see that we're not going to see any loading because Vue loads instantaneously. and we don't really have any delay. But if you had like 250 milliseconds of delay, you know, you would see something like this. Okay, so yeah, let's actually leave it like this so we get a sense every time we update the application that we're loading something. And now what we need to do is that we can define here other properties. So we can say, okay, we have some data for our application, we have some computed properties, and we're gonna have some methods. These are like JavaScript functions, right? So for our data, so I'm gonna imagine that I'm setting here a set of sketches, like a drawings or maybe posts on my blog. So I have my sketches property, which is gonna be an array. So I could say, okay, my first sketch has an ID of 1 or like 0, and the name is I don't know, let's say 1 word per day or something. And then I'm gonna make a few more, right? So we're gonna change the titles here, so we're gonna put that there. And because right now I'm not too inspired, what I'm gonna do is that I'm just going to go to the archive, and I'm just gonna copy a few titles. So for example, would be like, we need new interfaces, and my journals, energy and time, and the last one is gonna be free diving first impressions, right? So these are gonna be my titles. We don't really have any content so far, and nothing really shows up in here. But already just with this, there is something really cool that we can do in our application that I'm going to show you right now. So we can do here. So I can go to my container here, and let's expand this for a second. Awesome. So you see how this container is being added here manually, so I could add more of them. So now we have 3 here. So what we're trying to do is not to have to manually put every item here, but generate them in base of the data that our Vue application has, right? So for that, what we're gonna do is that we're gonna put here a div. We're gonna say v4, and this is a Vue helper, v4 sketch in sketches, right? So this is the sketches data property. And we're going to put here that the key is going to be the sketch.id, which we have defined before. We're going to create a new div, and the only thing we're going to put here is the sketch.name property, right? So we have that, and now we have a set of names one after the other. We just have divs with the names, and what we want to do now is to have divs like these ones. So the only thing we need to do for that is to just add what we have there, right? So we just need to add the class and all of the other properties of this component, and we can put them inside of this block, right? So we just do that. So it's just going to generate one of those default cards per item, and the only thing we need to do is just put the name on the title field, and boom, then we go and we have that there. So we can maybe reduce the margin bottom now that we have seen a bit of the content here, and these would be our cards, right? All right, so we have our cards, and we have some body text which is really non-existent, so it would be maybe cool to have some more content to show there. And I'm just gonna go ahead and change the layout here. So maybe we can do this, and then put the color here to be all right, cool. So we have like these cards now, and maybe all right. Cool. All right. So we have these things. Maybe we can make this some other color, so it's not this boring. Okay, so we have some cards there, and now maybe we can display their IDs, right? So we can say, okay, I have an ID for each of these things here. So I have from 0 to 4, and we can actually render those. We can now go and remove these things, and I could say body text of item, and then we put here sketch.id, right? This is the only information or extra information that we could use of this item, because it's the only other thing that we have there. And I don't know, maybe it makes sense to add it somewhere else, like maybe to put it here. Yeah, that's a bit ugly, but yeah, anyhow, let's just keep this maybe as something that we don't see a lot. So maybe we make here a span that has that, and we just maybe, I don't like to do this, but let's just do it to be quicker. All right. Yeah, so you see the numbers in there, right? More or less. And the thing that we're going to do now is that we're going to try to sort these items by name and by their ID. So those are two different things that don't need to be, one thing is alphabetical and the other one is just by numbers. And what we're going to do is that we're going to create here a div that is going to be called container header, and it's also going to contain items. So one is going to be ID, and the other one is going to be name. And we're just going to see that here, ID and name. And we have to create a class. So this is going to be the container header is going to be display flex as well as we did before. So we got those there. And now the container header item is going to be, maybe have some padding, so maybe 0.3 rem, and we just need to apply that class here. So class container header item, right? And yeah, so now we have these things here. We want to make sure, that I'm going to show you what we're doing. So if I put some background color here, let's say this is Gainsborough, I don't know if you see anything. Yeah, okay. So if we put here maybe border radius to be 2 pixels and maybe margin right 0.3 rem, we really don't want these things to be affected when we put the sorting arrow there, because what I'm going to do is that we're going to have the sorting arrows when these properties are ordering there. But for now, the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just put 1. And we just have that. And then the cursor is going to be a pointer. And now I'm going to remove actually the delay when loading our application, because otherwise this is a bit annoying when it updates. Right, nothing happens when I click. So what we have now, to kind of make a recap, we need to put this into a header. So let's see, what I created before was a header. Just going to bring this to center our container header. Okay, so we have that now here. We can actually make that a bit bigger so you see it. What I want now is to click here and actually sort the list by the IDs that we have there, right? So let's bring this back here. And yeah, and for that we only need a few steps. One is going to be creating a computer property. Right now we're using here the like a sketch in sketches, right? So we have a set of sketches and they're in the order defined here. So I could change them and they would change order, and that might actually happen and be something good that we could do. So we have them out of order and we don't want to sort them manually. So what we do for that is to have a computer property that we're going to call sort the sketches. Is going to be a function that is going to return something, and for that we could simply return the sketches, and now use here, instead of sketches, use sorted sketches, right? So we can see now that this is still there, and if I remove one, it's still using that one. But now what we need to do is to actually sort here, right? To sort, what we can do is use this Lodash sort by option, and we're going to say, okay, sort my sketches, and maybe so you see better, sort my sketches by, and now we put here a property, we say maybe the ID, and we can say ascending, right? So now when we do this, what happens is that magically these items are being sorted with the right order, right? So you see the number 0, the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4. And we could just put here desk, and they would, descending, they would just change their order, but for some reason they're not. Sort by ID desk. Oh, wait. Okay, let's look for the documentation. I mean, this works this way, but I'm not sure what's going on right now. Okay, sort by. Maybe is order by. All right, yeah, so it's order by, not sort by. So this is ascending and this is descending, which is, like from more to less. We could use the name. So now if we do ascending, we see that is, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, L, M, O, and W, right? And that goes in order. So what we want to do is parameterize this. So we want to say, okay, the sort by property is going to be, here is ID, and the order by property is ascending, let's say. So now we can call here, we copy these two, and what we do is this, and then put this here. Sort by and order by. And now we have an error, data, sort, ID, this order by, some error is happening. We're not closing here. Cool. Okay, so now with our properties, we can say, okay, descending, and maybe now we do need to make the numbers bigger so you can see them and it's a bit more evident. One thing we can do is here add a filter scale and transform. Yeah, no, not working, but maybe we can just leave this at 1. Well, you see the numbers. Okay, let's maybe skip that part. It's okay. So we just leave it like it was. Cool. So now what I want to do is that when I click, right, I change the sorting, right? So for example, we say, okay, this is ascending, but now I want to click. So now we are going to have a function that's going to be called sort, or maybe toggle sort. And let me see actually. What's better? All right, so we're gonna toggle the sorting. So we're gonna or maybe have a function that's gonna be called sort, and this is our sort by. And what we're gonna do is let's make it simpler. So we just want to sort, and what we do is that we get that if this order by the first item is ASC, what we do is that this order by equals desk, and this will be ASC if not. So now we just have to call this method, and what we do for that is that we put on the ID element, we just put here at click, we call the method sort, right? So at click sort. And now this happens, right? So I can click here, and supposedly that method is being called, and this order by function. So let's look here, clicked. Oh, okay, so this is working. The only thing we need to do is put here this force update. So the Vue component forces update when I do this, right? Not really, maybe. Okay, let's log clicked. Right, so when I click here, it's not being called. Why not? Something's a bit off here. Okay, this is actually out of our Vue application, so it wouldn't work even if we had it right? So we can put this here, and maybe we actually don't need the things that we added. Okay, so now when I click this, so these items, you can see them here. So these items are being sorted, by this arrow is not doing anything. So now we need to fix that. We need to change that arrow according to the sorting mechanism, right? So what we do for that is that we can get here and say, okay, my sort arrow, right, is going to be a function, and it's going to depend on this. So we say if the order by is ASC, we return and we do up. Otherwise, we return down, right? So if it's ASC, up, otherwise it's descending, down. So this is ascending and this is descending. All right, so nothing really happens now, but what we do now is first put the user select none, so we don't select the text in here, right, as we were doing before. And second is that we're gonna go to our item, and in here, so instead of forcing this to be up, what we want to do is, so we just put here, let's do like with the ID content, And what we're going to do is a span that we with Vue force the content to be the sort arrow, right? So the content of the sort arrow. And that's a function there. All right. So now you can see this is descending and ascending, right? And let me do one change here really quickly. So we okay. So this is, this is now working, and we have by one property. What we could do now is maybe try one thing. So what I want to do is maybe allow for us to sort by different properties. You might be willing to sort by ID, but maybe also by name, right? And how do we know that that is working? So let me see. We have this div here, and I think I can create one more. Yeah, okay. So let's say, okay, I have my name, right? And this is not working yet, right? So we need to sort and tell the application what we want to sort by. So we say here, for example, is ID, and here is by name, right? So that's the first thing that we want to do. And also we need to update the sort arrow method. So how do we do that? So here we need to have a parameter. So this is like maybe is the property, right? Or like the sort by. And here we also want to pass the sort by. So this is going to always say, okay, my sort by is going to be so let's do one thing. So we want to make sure that, and I'm going to change this to put it the opposite way, because what happens now is that I want, if I click, if it's like this and I click name, I want the sorting by name to be ascending, because we were sorting by other property before, and we probably don't even want to see this arrow. So what I'm going to do is that if you're not ascending, you go to ascending. But if you're not ascending, or this sort by doesn't equal the new one, what we're going to do is that we set the sort by sort by, and we always set to ascending, right? So for example, if this is working now, so this is name. Okay, so you're going to see now, if I do ID and name and then ID, right? This is ascending. And if I click here, this is already ascending by name. It's a bit weird because the arrows don't show it, but I'm going to, how can I do this? Let me see if I can do something. If I can do, okay, so maybe what we can do is to put a space here, so we get a space there, and we won't have any spaces here. And what we're gonna do is that if the sort arrow is not let's put this here. I don't really know if we need this. If the sort by, yeah, so we do need this. If the sort by is not the one on the tag, we're not even going to show the arrow. So if this sort by doesn't equal sort by, we're simply going to return empty. And then we're going to else if, we're going to return something. All right, so cool. That doesn't work, but all right, so this here, okay, now it works, right? So if we have, let's see how cool this is. So now what happens is if I have this ID, right? So the ID is 43210 01234. And now if I click name, I have this is alphabetical order, and now this is descending order, right? So we have a component here that is going to sort our content depending on these properties that we have here. And you know, now that we've done this, it's super easy to extend our program to sort by other types of properties. So for example, we could go here and say maybe text, and then this is somebody text, and you know, now we can put this in here, sketch text, and that's somebody text. And to make it easier, maybe like I don't know, like 1,000 words. And now here you say like 200 words a day. And then my journals, 12 letters or something. And then one day, so interface, creative, interfaces. And now here, maybe we just put like what we learned. It's okay, right? Whatever. So now we have different text on each of these, in each of these cards, right? And how could we add a new sorting mechanism? Now we don't even need to touch anything on Vue. We just go here, we just change, not here, we just go here, we just change this property here, so description, and we just change these two variables and go back to our program. And now you see this is going upwards and down, and it doesn't work. All right, why doesn't it work? It's working. Okay, so I'm putting here a description, but it's actually, the property name is text. So that's why it wasn't working. So now text and text, right? And you know, one thing that is weird is that it sorts by the first character, not by the numbers. So 1, 0 is first, 1, 2 is second, and then 2, 0 is third. It's not really by the numbers. If we wanted to actually have it sort properly, right? So let's say that this one has like, this might be I don't know, 0, 0, 0, 9, and this could be like 9, 9, 9, 9, whatever. So this would have to be like this, and this, so padded zeros. So now we do have numbers that make more sense to the computer in this case. And I don't know if you can see it properly, so I'm just going to put it here. So now what we can do is, if we do this, right, 0, 0, 0, 9, 12, 200, 1000, 9999, and then this goes the other way. So text, ID, name, and text. And yeah, this is a way in which you can create a dynamic component to sort your elements. There's just one little thing, one last thing that we haven't done yet. We can have modes, or like you could call them however, but I like to just put a mode, right? 0, and we can say 0 for list, 1 for grid, for instance, right? And what we can do is that we can bind classes to our Vue components, right? Or like HTML components according to data in our Vue model. And one way to do that is like this. So you say bind class, and we can say I'm going to bind the list class if 1 equals 1, for instance, right? So let's say we do that. So you see, this is the list view. And if 1 equals 0, then I don't do that anymore, right? So we're actually having this grid that I've realized doesn't work anymore for some reason, because we have now this other list inside of the container, right? And maybe to solve that, we could just add another div on the top here. Not sure. Not really sure, but we're going to simply try it. Just see if this works. Okay, quickly. So we fix our list before we go and close the div. And because this way maybe we can put the header again out of the actual application. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. So we have that here. We can get back at these properties that we needed before. No. All right. Okay, we have that. I really don't like the big spacing of these columns. I don't know. We're not gonna fix it now, but yeah. So this is the grid view, right? We can still sort and do stuff. And if we make this clause here again true, this is our list view, right? This was grid and list. So now we just need to make this something different. So list is going to be here if mode equals 0, which is happening. If mode was 1, it would be the grid. So if mode is 0, that is right now, and if I put mode 1, we go to the grid. So the only thing we need to do now is just make a method here that is like toggle mode. And on this mode, we just need to do, we could actually do something like this mode, just invert it, but I don't know if this is gonna work. Maybe not. Okay, we need this here. Okay, and we need now something to call the mode. So what we're gonna do now is that we're gonna copy one of these header items. So we're gonna maybe put it at the end. We just put another header item, and this is going to toggle the mode instead of doing the sorting. And we don't really need this here. We're gonna maybe do mode equals 0. We do that the content is gonna be list. Otherwise, it's gonna be grid, and I don't know if this is gonna work. All right, so that seems like it works, and that's working. And if we toggle, we go to the grid. So now we do have like a toggling component. So we go from the grid to the list. So I'm gonna make this a bit bigger so you can see it. So we from list to grid, and we can sort by IDs descending or by text descending, for example, and then go to the list, and you see that the sorting is maintained. So here we have a sortable component that also can be toggled between list and grid views, and this is all made with Vue, CSS, and HTML5. That's all you need. And if we were to add more items, I don't know, maybe this fails because the ID needs to be unique, but it seems like it doesn't. So I can just put a lot more things here, and we can have a grid with more components and stuff, and this works pretty well. All right, and with all of that, I think that was it. Thanks a lot for watching. Again, this was okay, let's record that again. Thanks a lot for watching. No. Okay, let me look here. Thanks a lot for watching. It was I'm not sure what's going on. Well, I hope that gave you a good overview on how you can create a sortable dynamic grid that can change between different arrangements or different layouts in Vue, HTML5, and CSS. Thanks a lot for watching. It was Nono Martinez Alonso here. Do check out the other playlists that go over how to build things with JavaScript and Laravel and web development on my channel. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time. I hope you learned something today. Bye. All right, so I have here a comment, so I'm going to go really quickly to switch one of the lights off so you can see me a bit better. All right, so I'm seeing here on the chat a question by Sajed. So let me see. So it says, if you have to sort by multiple methods, then what would be the best way to go about it? Do we have to assign some sort of precedence for one method over the other? Well, so I know that in Lodash, you can actually provide it with arrays. So you can pass an array of properties by which you want to sort, and then an array of orders like ascending or descending. And one thing that you can do to manage this is like if, for example, I set the time to be ascending and then click on name descending, you could actually provide Lodash with those. And I think you can actually do or concatenate sorting options, so you can do more intelligent sorting with different ways of arranging this thing. I hope that that answers your question. Okay, and now I think we've had enough. Like I recorded 2 of the tutorials. We didn't make it to the Disney one. I'm gonna do some housekeeping here. So we're gonna make sure, you know, rather than continue generating content, I rather like push what I have so far. And for that, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So we're gonna go now to this. We're gonna remove the node models. We're gonna remove, oh, not here, this is dangerous. So we're gonna remove the node models. We're gonna remove the vendor, and then we'll go and move the app. So we're gonna call it, well, let's actually see how we name the other one. So we're gonna name the one on the desktop to Laravel, maybe even here, right? Laravel app 02, dynamic sortable list grid view component. All right, so we open this and it seems like this is here. So git add, let me make this bigger so you can see. Git add the folder, git commit 37, add view sortable list grid component. All right, we push, and now we do have that available once again on the live folder. All right, so we go here, and you have the code for both of the things that we've done today in here. So maybe one thing that we could do, so let me make notes here. So maybe we go into the README, and for live 37, we're gonna have this. And the other one. All right, so we have those two links that we'll also add to the episode notes, and add links to README. To README. All right, so now we have that. So maybe now if you go here, you can see live 37 and you see it. And maybe we can automate this. I don't have to do it manually. Okay, so we have that. So that's being pushed there. Other housekeeping things we have to do. Maybe update the description on the video. I'll have to add the chapters later. So let me just quickly go into Photoshop. So I'm going to update the cover image that we have, because I actually we cover some of the topics on the cover, so we're gonna update that. And yeah, I think this is gonna be it for today. We still have the Disney thing that I'm gonna have to start doing that from the very beginning, probably next week. All right, let's close this. Yeah, I didn't upload any screenshots of this, but I guess we can get it later from the video. All right, where are we? So here. We actually didn't get to this, and we can maybe put this here. And this is gonna go now in here. And here we're gonna get HTML5 flex grid. I don't know if that fits. Okay, no. Flex grid. HTML flex grid. All right, let's just leave it like that. And this one is gonna be here. That's a bit tight. All right. Cool. All right. So a bit of housekeeping here. This process I really want to automate, because it's pretty annoying to have to do this as I am doing it right now. Okay. So I think that makes it. It doesn't need to be so small, actually. Anyway, this is it for now. So just gonna leave it. All right, so I'm gonna change that on the stream. Oh, epic fail. I didn't really mark the checks. All right, so while I'm doing this, do you guys have any questions or suggest, or anyone? Is it possible to automate Photoshop? It is possible to automate Photoshop, yes, but that's not what I'm thinking on doing. So I'm actually building a thumbnail maker for YouTube videos, and I don't know if I have something. I might have something here that I can show. Let me see. Um, mm, 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 mm. Yes. Yeah. So uh, here, what you can see, this is a work in progress project that I have, where I have a UI with Vue.js, and you can save these images directly from the browser. So it uses something called DOM to image to save these ones. And this is me developing this tool and like generating a lot of these thumbnails. So there's like a nice feature, for example. Well, this is an older version, but yeah, so you get the idea. The idea is that you have a set of fields, and we're generating an image, like a thumbnail, with text fields and properties. CSS properties change with fields, and instead of actually having to use Photoshop, which is pretty awesome, I think. Right. Hope that answers your question. Sajid. Okay, where are you? Yeah, so you can automate Photoshop here. So what automate is to make actions, like run actions in, well, let me put this. So if you go to file, then you go here. So there's like this automate menu. So you can create many things. Like batching is a menu that lets you run an action that you've done in Photoshop. And then scripts. So you can have like JavaScript or other languages. I think here even AppleScript, and you can run it. I think you can also go into, let me see, scripts. Yeah, so file, scripts, browse. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't remember now. There is oh yeah, there is a scripts panel, right? Mm -mm. Let me see. Scripts. I don't remember now where it was, or maybe they removed it. I'm not sure. But yeah, you can automate Photoshop. And one way in which you can automate it is with actions. So for example, let's say that I have Nono.MA live, right? So I have some text here. So counting that you have some text here. So let's say that I have some text here. I can make a, here in the bottom panel, I can make a new folder. So let's say live, and I can make an action. So test action, right? So you can see that here, and I just save it and click record, right? So this is now, you can see the symbol. This is now recording, and everything I do is going to be recorded here. So I'm going to select the canvas, for example. I'm going to center my text, and maybe I'm going to, so this is normal text, and I might want to rasterize it. So I make a raster image, and I don't know, now I might want to run some Gaussian blur. and now I want to do something to it. I don't know, I might want to do that. And later I want to put it black and white. And I want to make it like that. I don't know, whatever, right? So now I stop. This action actually is really bad, but you know, I think it proves the point. So I can go here and say, this is my new text, and I just have this here. I run my text action by clicking play, and you know, it's done all of these steps that I wanted, and just reproduce them. So one thing that I found, for example, that is super nice to show actions, many times, let's just record it. So this is going to be a smoothing function. So imagine that I have, and I'm going to just put black. Imagine that I have, I don't know, some shapes, right? It's going to be, and these shapes have some sort of rough edges, right? So I can go to Gaussian blur again, right? If I do that, and now I found out you can do this, and it actually smooths out your shapes, right? So now we stop recording, and voila. So that's softened, right? So now I could even do shapes like this. I could bake everything, and now I click and run my action, and you know, these are have been smoothened out or whatever. So we can actually, to see that, we can actually take a snapshot of this point in time and clear my history. No, okay, so let's do one thing. So I'm gonna clear the history so we don't have anything here. Just gonna get everything and remove it. Okay, so clear history. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna draw something. I'm gonna draw. Cool. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save a snapshot of this moment. So shape 01, for example. And now I simply run my smoothing function, and that's it. And now I'm gonna take another snapshot, smoothing, so shape 02, whatever. So now you see these are the two steps, and because you have a let's say parametric or like deterministic way to get from A to B, you just have to do that. You don't really need to think about it. You can just save your action and do it all the time. And I can even apply it again and again. And this shouldn't happen if I had done everything right, but I did something different. So yeah, we went from there and there and then to here, right? And there are many things that you could do. And this is, you know, you can also script and do many things. All right, cool. So that's Photoshop actions. And we're gonna update the thumbnail because I didn't update to the latest. Save. All right, we have the code online. We have pushed all the code to GitHub, I think. Let's check that out. status, yes. So I'm gonna go to the desktop and remove this repo from here. All right, I'm gonna close. Maybe just put the links in there. Yeah, and so the one thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get the links from here. Dynamic, sortable, list grid, view component, and that's it. All right, and this is gonna make it into the YouTube video. All right, so we're gonna just put this on the description of the YouTube video, and then we'll wrap up. I will need to do the chapters after I can download the video, but yeah, not right now. Okay. All right, cool. That's it. No Disney once again. So we're leaving this part. So we're leaving this part out. Okay, so I'm gonna make something I never do just in case I remember to get it later. So just the slide in which I am without no background. Yep, cool. So this is it. We've been coding for a bit. I did these things. I didn't schedule the next live. That's good. The reminder. Okay. Maybe we can do that. Let's just do that. That's gonna be good. And yeah, thanks Ajay for being there. Thanks everyone for watching offline or online or whatever. It's a pleasure to have you. I would encourage you to go to the Discord server. I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna schedule for the same time next week. Hopefully we can make it the same time. I think it should be fine. This is gonna be so far private. So it's gonna be 22nd. We're gonna remove the chapters of this video and put this here and make this private. But you know, at least the thing with this is that it generates automatically a link that I can share. So that's pretty cool. And I can generate a short URL for that video already. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, and thank you, Sajay. And one reminder is that we have this new episode on the podcast that I would love to hear your opinion on, like for everyone who's watching or listening. A new episode on free diving, more episodes coming on the Byte series. Listen to the intro if you haven't yet. That's I'm pretty excited about what's coming on the podcast. Yeah, let me see here what we can do. So this is the event tutorial. Why is this so big? Not really sure what made this presentation so huge. Well, let's take a look. Let's inspect why. So I'm going to go ahead. Oh, this is it. This is what's going on. Just this slide, probably. Yes. Okay. Cool. All right. So I'm gonna do this. So this is housekeeping. I don't usually do this online, but I just felt like doing it today. So we'll have to change this. Right. Hopefully we get to this one next week. Actually, I would say we could even like make a tentative thumbnail, because we kind of know that for the 22nd I want to go through the Disney thing. Right. Right. All right, let's wrap it up. So, what's going on here? Right, so now we've gone through the reminders, we can end. So once again, just a little reminder that you can like the video if you want to support the channel and the work I'm doing here. Thanks a lot for watching, really, and subscribe. Just go and click subscribe, hit the bell if you want to get notified when I go live next or when I upload new videos. Join the community. You can talk to me, talk to others, and ask questions about machine learning, creative coding, the podcast, sketches, or whatever. Nono.MA Discord will redirect you to an invite. You can also go to that QR code and you will go straight there. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, for listening, and I'll see you next time. Hopefully here in the same channel next Thursday around the same time. And I might do some live streams out in the open that will be announced on the Discord channel. Thanks, and I'll see you soon.